What is up, my home slices? Welcome to day 46 of Project 365. Woo! Only 330 days to go. Yeah, awesome. I actually am kinda sad. Even though it's that far over there in no man's land, I'm still sad that it's gonna happen at some point in time, and this project is gonna end. And why I started talking like William Shatner just now, I don't know. But, yeah. So, little update. I happen to have fixed my internet fiasco, by purchasing a new router, so now I can comfortably upload videos from my room, as opposed to leaving my computer in the office for, an hour and a half, and having someone constantly check on it. Yeah. Anyway, not really sure what I'm gonna do today. I know what I'll do, actually. I will show you guys some of my favorite books. Sorry as I look away. I will show some of you guys my favorite books, so, hold on a second. Alright, so, yeah, if you noticed a little clip there, that's because it actually took me a while to find them all. Okay, so I'm going to go through these in order, and of course I own a copy of every one of them, so that's kind of cool. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of them, so there's my top 7. My hands are probably dusty now, because there's a lot of dust around my book area. Oh well. Anyway, number 7 on the list. Actually, I don't know. Anyway, okay, so I'll just go in any particular order, so what ends up being number 1 might not be my absolute favorite book, but it's definitely in my top, so, yeah. And I think my favorite book of all time I don't own a copy of, which kinda sucks. Yeah, anyway, okay, so, here's number 7. It is called Waiting for Godot by Samuel Beckett. Samuel Beckett is a truly amazing writer in his own regard. Generally, the play, if I were to just flip through a few pages, as you can see, it just is back and forth dialogue the whole time. So, it's kind of cool, and then there's a lot of moments where, Vlad and Estra, as I just call them that to shorten their names, Vladimir and Estragon, there's a lot of times it's just them back and forth. I'm not sure if you can focus, or if you can see that, but it's a really good book. Again, Beckett is one of my favorite playwrights of all time. He definitely knows how to write a good story. I would obviously recommend all these to read, but Waiting for Godot is really good. Next, okay, I guess I'll do this one. Slaughterhouse-Five by Kurt Vonnegut. A few of my friends happen to be huge Vonnegut fans. This is honestly the only book I've had a chance to read by Mr. Vonnegut, but nonetheless, it is still a very good book. It follows the life of Billy, I believe. Is it Billy? I think so. Yeah, it's basically, well, it follows the life of Billy, of this guy named Billy. He was in a war, and it talks about these aliens, the something or another. But, yeah, it follows them and their beings that can see into the 4th dimension, which those of you who don't understand the 4th dimension really wouldn't understand the point of the book, but anyway, well, not the point, but wouldn't understand what I mean by saying that, and I don't feel like explaining the 4th dimension, so instead I'll link in the sidebar, which is either down there, over there, or down there. What the hell? Yeah, and I will go ahead and link a video to explaining up to the 10th dimension. You only have to watch the first video because it explains the 4th very clearly. Freaking chair. Anyway, So yeah, that's another top one. I thought it was really well written. Actually, before I forget, I should add this one. So actually, it's 8. Sorry. Next is The Road by Robert McCarthy. Or Cormac, not Robert McCarthy. Cormac McCarthy. I'm sure plenty of you have seen the movie. If you haven't, you should go watch it because it's actually a pretty good movie. But it's basically following the life of a guy and a kid in a post-apocalyptic world where they meet all these different people, and it's a very nice story. It's very Bible-oriented. There's a lot of allusions to the Bible in it, which, being an atheist, I don't really have a particular taste for, but I don't mind them either because I actually understand them, so it was kind of helpful, but you don't need like a huge Bible background in order to read this. Next is a play that I was in. It's called Our Town by Thornton Wilder. Our Town is a very slow-paced, but very good play. Literally, the first act is the longest act, and it runs usually for anywhere between 30 to 45 minutes. But it's a very nice story that tells you to appreciate the little things in life. It follows George and Emily in their love affair, and you also follow the life of a small town. The stage manager breaks the fourth wall often, so it makes it very engaging, and generally speaking, I just liked it. And then when I heard we were going to do it, I was like, awesome, because I love this play. So I was very happy with that. Next is another play, a well-known play, a really well-known play, actually. Those of you who know Shakespeare might know it. I'm sick of this chair. But for those of you who don't, which I don't know how, but next is Hamlet, actually. And as you can see, this isn't enough for Shakespeare because I can't be bothered trying to understand Shakespearean language. But anyway, this play, I think my literature teacher said it best, this play is like the holy Bible of literature students, be you in college or high school. There's so many allusions made from it, there's so many famous lines from it that people know. To be or not to be, that is the question. Whether 'tis noble in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, or to take an arm against the sea of troubles and by opposing end them. Frailty, thy name is woman. There's just a lot of well-known quotes, and it's Shakespeare's best work. I mean, The Bard is arguably the best writer of all time, and this is his best, arguably his best play of all time. So the fact that it wouldn't be considered so is a blasphemy in the eyes of any literature student. Also, branching off of this is a play that I don't have a copy of, but I definitely would recommend you read. It's called Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead by Tom Stoppard. He also directed the movie for it. However, I find the quick-wittiness of the play to be a lot more interesting than the movie version. We just recently watched the movie like today. It was okay, but I so much prefer the actual like dialogue and seeing it in front of me and getting to actually like envision it my own way versus having to put an image to it. Next is Sold by Patricia McCormick, I believe. Yeah, McCormick. This is a very good book. For those of you who do not know Patricia McCormick, she also wrote the novel Cut, another very good story about this teenager who goes through suicide rehab. This, however, is talking about sex slaves and the trafficking issue going on globally. Very good story. I cried. I would recommend reading it. Very good. And then the last two. One is A Million Little Pieces by, I can never remember this guy's name, James Frey. Again, very good novel. There's a lot to it though. So beware of that if you aren't if you don't like a heavy read. I really wouldn't recommend it. His writing style is nice. It breaks a lot of grammatical rules, but it's nice that an author went through the trouble of creating their own methods. Like they didn't just follow all the rules. It's about the story of a guy who is so dependent upon drugs and alcohol that he ends up nearly dying from them and ends up in rehab. And then it talks about his escapades there. It was originally supposed to be meant as a quote-unquote autobiographical journey. However, it was proven later on that James Frey lied about the whole thing, and it's actually a piece of fiction, which kind of pissed me off at first, because when I read it, it was really depressing, and it was like, oh my god, someone actually went through all this. And then later on, it's like, oh yeah, I made it all up. Ho ho ho. Yeah, you're a douchebag, James Frey. I apologize, but it is true. I love your book. But yeah, no, you shouldn't have done that. It was actually this huge thing on Oprah, but it's neither here nor there, because she's quitting, and I'm happy about that. Nothing against you Oprah fans, I'm just not a fan myself. And finally, a book that my friend Emily is letting me borrow, and I haven't had a chance to finish it yet. I'm about page 218. However, this book automatically qualifies on my list because I relate to it so well. I love the story, but it's kind of a funny story by Ned Vizzini. Again, it's following the story of a teenager who is depressed and suicidal. Not for any particular reason, but because he goes to a school that requires so much of him. And he falls in with the wrong crowd, and then sooner or later he just doesn't care anymore, and he's really apathetic, and he just doesn't care about life. He has things called anchors, which are the positive things, and he has things called tentacles in his life, where there are issues that he needs to deal with. But I don't know, I just could I could just get along with the story solo because I used to be a really manic, depressive individual. And yeah, like I said, it's more than kind of a funny story with this book. It's actually really funny and really sad at times. So it's a nice counterbalance. But yes, those are some of the books I like to read. I actually have a few more. A few I would recommend. Well, the one I can think of right now is The God Delusion by Richard Dawkins. It does a fairly good job of explaining some of the facts against religion. That's pretty much all I can think of right now, but I will definitely get back to you guys later on with more books and stuff I like to read, because I'm a huge literature fan, and I love reading, so it's always nice to talk about books. Okay, so comment or question of the day. Do you have any books you think I should read? And if so, leave a comment below explaining it like a brief summary of what it's about and who it's by and stuff like that. And that would be awesome. But other than that, that's it for today, guys. So I will see you guys tomorrow. Have a great day and have a good night. Bye.